Hey guys, we're still at the My.com booth. We're checking out game number 2. This is Armored Warfare, and it's the newest tank shooter on the market, but this one's got quite a twist to it. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're bringing to the free-to-play online tank shooter genre?
Great, I'd be happy to. I'm Richard Taylor. I'm project director for Armored Warfare. And Armored Warfare is the next AAA title from Obsidian Entertainment. It's a tactical shooter that centers around modern military vehicles. And it's one of those things where we're really excited to enter the modern era in this genre because it means we get to use all the modern toys. So anti-tank guided missiles, explosive reactive armor, and all those things that have been developed over the last few decades will be able to make an appearance in this game and have an impact on the mechanics.
And beyond that, you also have a bit of a focus on more of a Pve Scenarios than we've seen before. Can you tell us how that's working out?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So one of the things that we set out when we started working on Armored Warfare was we wanted to make the game approachable for everyone, whether or not they're even interested in necessarily team versus team PvP. And we think one of the ways that we can accommodate those players is by providing also cooperative PvE scenarios and really put a lot of work into making those just as awesome and fun as the player versus player content. So PvE is intended to be a robust, fully progressible experience in Armored Warfare. It's not like, oh, well, you get just a secondary experience in PvE. It's supposed to be fully fleshed out. And really, PvE is kind of the side of the fence that will be exposing more of the narrative and the story of Armored Warfare as well over the long run.
I wasn't even aware, so you have a story behind this too. What's the story?
Can't go into it right now. Actually, it's a story that we really want to explore and reveal slowly over time. And it's kind of one of those things where the clues and evidence are going to be there in the missions, and slowly players will be able to put together what the big picture is.
It's really cool. Let's talk about the types of tanks that you can pick and the role that they would play in these team missions.
Yeah, for sure. So the 3 roles that we're showing off today are the tanks themselves. Those are the main battle tanks. Their strengths, of course, are that they have the significant amount of armor and protection on those vehicles. They also have the largest cannons available outside of the artillery units, which we'll talk about in just a moment. They're really all about holding the front line, keeping the enemies at bay, absorbing those shots so that their allies aren't getting shot up. And they're all kind of about map control in terms of they go to a spot, they can make that a bottleneck and keep the enemy AI at bay. The other role, as I mentioned, is artillery. They're all about long-distance fire support. So the strengths of the artillery include being able to shoot anywhere on the map, provided that they don't have a blocked shot, and the ability to fire indirect fire shots. So that means that even if someone's on the other side of a hill, they may be able to land that shot on them anyway. They have the advantage of having a top-down satellite view of the battlefield to line up their shots. Of course, their challenge is that when it comes to self-defense, they don't have a lot to work with, so they're depending on their allies to keep the enemies back and keep them protected. The third role that we're showing off is the Recon role, and they're really defined by their long view ranges for spotting enemy vehicles, their high stealth factor, which means enemy AI has a harder time spotting them, and their great speed and mobility. So they're all about getting around the map quickly. They're a great asset for accomplishing secondary objectives and challenges that involve getting deep into the map. And also they deal a lot of damage to light armored targets. So they can mop up enemy artillery units, enemy armored fighting vehicles, and things like that. So those are really the 3 different roles that are going to be key to having a successful team in the PvE content.
Will the matchmaking just automatically set people up with diverse roles, or is it kind of random?
Yeah, so we want players to be able to just jump right in the game and play it. We'll have a matchmaking system that will put these teams together for you. Obviously, if you have friends that you want to queue together as a group, you'll be able to do that as well.
And then just to close it out, in terms of these missions, is there just like a primary like destroy all enemies, or are people actually trying to do some things on the side? I saw there was something in there, but I think you'd probably tell me more about it.
Yeah, for sure. So there's definitely the primary objectives, and those will vary from map to map. Sometimes it's capture and hold a point. Other times it might be to hold off against a siege and keep a place protected. Those are the primary objectives are essentially what do you need to do in order to succeed at this mission. Secondary objectives are going to be available as well, and those are often challenge-related things of like something that's going to be tricky or hard to do, or something that requires good teamwork to pull off. They can be securing a point that's remote from where the main point of combat is, so that's really good for speedy vehicles to get there and take care of. It may require using indirect fire to hit a location that the rest of the vehicles can't get to. Any number of secondary objectives that the team has to have work together in order to pull off. And finally, every individual player will have their own list of challenges that are specific to them and specific to the vehicle that they're playing that they can accomplish as well. And all those will feed into greater rewards and greater credits coming out of the PvE mission.
All right, let's close it out with the reward system. Are you choosing tanks because of their stats, or once you have a tank, can you customize that tank? And is there like a crew system or anything else involved that really defines you as a player compared to others' stats?
Yeah, those are great. That's a great question. It's really important for players to be invested in these vehicles. You know, they're going to spend time earning these vehicles. They're going to own and play them in combat for a long period of time. So there are going to be upgrades that players are going to be able to unlock and put on their vehicles, and there will be a crew system. We're going to go into a lot more details about those systems at a later date, but they're definitely going to be in there, and those really tend to be a lot more stat-based, a lot more kind of RPG-like in terms of what you're upgrading, what you're picking, what are the pros and cons of the different choices that you're making, and how do they affect your performance in the matches. We're really looking forward to showing off more of that at a later time.
And when you're showing off at a later time, do you mean closed beta's coming up soon? Can we sign up for it?
You can sign up for closed beta at aw.my.com. And as far as a date goes, we're looking at closed beta this year.
All right, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.